Business, what we try to do is produce all those formats in one go. So EPUB for us is not just what you can put on your Stanza iPhone or your Sony book reader, but it's actually all the other types of flavors of XML that you actually want, including DocBook 5. And if you're going to be a Penguin producer in the future, they're going to be using DocBook 5 for their XML database, and they'll also be using all the EPUBs as well. So I talk about the fact that actually, when you start with talking about EPUB, you've only got to go really right the way back through the process to say, well, where do we need to start planning for EPUB in where we go? How many people here use InDesign for their production processes? Okay, how many still on Quark? Okay, I won't ask what version, but if it's 4.11, stick with it. Now, the interesting thing about all of this is if you want good EPUB, you actually need to start back there. When you start laying out your books, or your magazines, or any of your titles, you need to be thinking about the sort of styles you need to put in place for your books. You need consistent styling right the way through the publication process. Why? Because when you come to create your ebook, it can all sort of flow pretty much straight away. The problem you have at the moment is if you don't think about how you're laying your content out in your InDesign, then the problem you'll have when you get to your ebooks is it won't come out quite as you expect on your digital device. So the production process really for books is quite an interesting one. It's been a bit of an education here for the last 2.5 days. A lot of people have been rushing up to me and say, I want to produce an ebook. Fantastic. Okay, so what are you using? Well, I've got a book here. Can I have an ebook, please, with that? Okay, so what did you use basically to sort of create a book? Well, I think some time ago we started off with Quark Express. But we're on InDesign now. Okay, so is this book basically in Quark Express? No, it's a book. Okay, so if you start with a book, no EPUB. You have to have things basically in a format that you can actually translate into an electronic format. So you need to get your old books, if you're thinking about your back catalogue. There's, by the way, there's about 16 to 23 million books in your back catalogue somewhere. If we go down the EPUB route, you'll be reading through all your back catalogues, looking at what you're going to be publishing in your ebook format. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have something that we can work with, that Bill's team at Adobe can work with. You need to kind of have a document that's laid out in a pretty structured way. It's got a title, it's got chapter headings in the right place, it's got images which are called images, and everything is not just body text. But the good news is if you start putting stuff into your titles, putting in things like captions, putting in things like URL links and all the sort of good stuff, is when you start to translate that through from your InDesign layout or your Quark Express layout, you'll actually also get your books basically with active links and things like that. So starting with a book isn't good. PDF files. How many people have got lots of PDF files? No good. So getting EPUB from PDFs is also kind of difficult. Yes, you can do it if you laboriously cut and paste all the elements of your PDF into some kind of layout that you can convert to a PDF, to an EPUB format. It's tough.
Can I ask you a question to save your breath for a second?
Go on.
I've got a book called Mickey Rotter. It's 500 pages. It's got 50 visuals in it, 200 URL links, and it's in a straightforward, simple Word format. How much will it cost me to give it to you so I can then produce it either for mobile phone reading, online reading, and say for extracts?
Well, you can give it to any Indian company you like.
No, to you.
If you give it to
EasyPress. No, give me a price.
Okay. You said a dirty word to start with. Word. Okay, you start with Word. All right.
So we're right at the bottom of the chain.
You're right at the bottom of the chain. Well, no, you're not quite, because you haven't given me a book. But
I can give you in text format.
You're climbing up the chain a bit.
I can give you an ASCII if you like.
No, please. That doesn't help. Okay, so here's the problem. Give me a Word file, and I tell you, I can basically take a Word file and I'll still get rubbish out in terms of the reason is that Word is great is appalling for layout. And the problem that you actually face is, unless you can have some fixed style, some fixed layout, then the ebook you get out at the end of it is going to be completely inconsistent. It won't flow correctly, and you've talked about URLs, you've talked about images, they'll all end up being in odd places in your book. Now, I'll give you a little practical